Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dave Beavers. I'm with the Office of Facility Services. I have the pleasure of facilitating the school renaming process for Stonewall Jackson High School and Stonewall Middle School. We're here tonight to continue the process of renaming our schools. I'm joined by the two naming committees for these two schools, the renaming committees. First, the Stonewall Jackson High School Renaming Committee is composed of Chairman-at-Large Babar Latif, Adele Jackson from the Brentsville District, Jennifer Wall from the Gainesville District, and Lisa Zargarpur from the Coles District. The second naming committee is for Stonewall Middle School, and it's composed of Chairman-at-Large Babar Latif, Jennifer Wall from the Gainesville District, and Adele Jackson from the Brentsville District. For citizens making comments, we have a Spanish translator here with us again tonight. Mr. Osuna, I hate to put you on the spot, but would you like to introduce yourself and announce your availability in Spanish?
Sure, thank you, sir. Buenas noches, mi nombre es Carlos Osuna y soy el intérprete de español asignado para trabajar con ustedes. Si usted se ha inscrito para hablar, al momento de su turno manifieste que va a utilizar mis servicios y le asistiré. Tendrá 2 minutos para hacer sus planteamientos. Mantenga por favor un ritmo pausado para poder yo tomar nota y luego traducir su comentario. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Mr. Osuna. Panelists, does anyone have any comments before we get started tonight? All right, wonderful. Next slide, please, Mr. Stevens. All right, first a little background for us. School Board Policy 854 calls for the creation of a naming committee, or in this case, renaming, but also notes that final approval of the school facility name rests with the entire school board. Next slide, please. Regulation 854-1 tells us that the naming committee will be comprised of the chairman of the school board, Dr. Latif, the school board member in whose district the unnamed facility is located, and any school board member whose district is overlapped by the attendance area of the unnamed facility. In this case, Stonewall Jackson High School is located in the Brentsville district. Stonewall Jackson's attendance area overlaps the Brentsville, Gainesville, and Coles magisterial districts. Therefore, Ms. Jackson, Ms. Wall, and Ms. Zargarpur, along with Dr. Latif, Chairman-at-Large, make up the naming committee. In the case of Stonewall Middle, the school itself is located in the Gainesville district. The attendance area overlaps Gainesville and Brentsville's magisterial districts. Thus, Ms. Wall, Ms. Jackson, and Dr. Latif make up that naming committee. Next slide, please, Mr. Stevens. It's important to know that the committee is charged to consider these naming criteria, but are not limited to geographic elements, historical elements, names of living or deceased persons who've made significant service contributions. Please note that the selection preference will be given to those individuals who've made significant contributions to the field of education, especially within Prince William County. Next slide, please, Mr. Stevens. All right, this slide highlights our process that we're going through. The committee's charged with holding a community input meeting to solicit recommendations and suggestions from the public. Now, as you know, we held a meeting on Monday night, June 22nd, and we're holding a second community input session tonight, June 25th. The school board's scheduled to hold a meeting on Monday, June 29th, that's this coming Monday, and at that time, they will receive information, recommendation, and will take action on these two namings. And also, the final selection of the new facility or the renamings is the responsibility of the entire school board. Next slide, please, Mr. Stevens. All right, here's just a little reference for you so that you can have a visual representation of the two schools. On your left is Stonewall Jackson High School. You can see the overhead view there. And on your right is Stonewall Middle School, where we've just completed a 17 classroom addition. So very nice facilities that the school board continues to invest in. Next slide, please. All right, that completes my presentation. At this time, we get to the important part of the evening, and that's hearing from the community. We have a list of speakers who signed up in advance, and we'll call on those speakers in the order that those signups were received. Each speaker will have 2 minutes to share their thoughts with us. And just a word of advice, 2 minutes does go very quickly. So if you can keep your thoughts focused on what your suggestion or recommendation is for the school board to consider for the naming, I think that will work best for you. If you're unable to hear us for any reason, we'll ask that you submit your comment in writing, and there's opportunities to do that via the web story. You can find the links for that on our pwcs.edu website. So if we're ready to get started with receiving our community input, speakers, if you could, for the naming committees, if you could state your name, the community you reside in, and the school for which you'd like to make your comments, and then tell us what your suggested name is and any justification. So with that, Mr. Townsend, Mr. Stevens, if you have our first speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Beavers. Our first speaker this evening will be Dr. Tanya Sutton.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Tanya Sutton. I reside in Suffolk County, Long Island, New York. I am an educator for over 40 years, an early childhood evaluator, and a mentor to teachers and administrators. I am speaking to you to address the request for name nominations and recognition and naming the middle school and high school in Prince William County. I would like to state a case for the name nomination of my Uncle Carol W. Braxton and Aunt Celestine Braxton. I believe my family believes in my Uncle Carol and Aunt Celestine Braxton merit the honor of a school renamed after them. Master Gunnery Sergeant Carol Braxton was one of the first Black men to enlist in the Marine Corps, a congressional gold medalist and one of the first drills constructors of the Montfort Point Marines. He served in the first segregated Montfort Point Marine Corps unit and World War II. He experienced suffering and lived through the racist and demoralizing treatment of him and his unit. He survived his harsh treatment and inhumane conditions as a recruit, but he endured and persevered. He sustained his manhood and self-recognition. He has received numerous awards and honors, such as the Congressional Medal of Honor from President Obama, and he is noted in the Veterans Smithsonian in Virginia. My cousin Shane Fordham created an award-winning documentary that highlights his life and experience with his service to this country in the United States of America. It would be worthwhile for you to take a moment and view the documentary. The documentary contains the history of his notable service and the generations of students, adults, and community members should become acquainted with. Celestine Braxton served for over 33 years in the Prince William County elementary and middle school system. She was one of the first African-American teachers to integrate the elementary school. Due to her due diligence, she convinced the Chamber of Commerce to integrate the local school system. Her own daughter, Monique Braxton, was the first to integrate the kindergarten class. She was a social activist involved in the civil rights movement and served for her community through various organizations. Our students see the history of their heritage. The time is now to bend the arm, adjusted to deconstruct the educational system. Students must learn all history and their history. A school name is not just a name. It is a badge of honor that students, teachers, parents, and communities wear. The school board has a great opportunity to be a part of history for future generations to come. Your decision will commit students to walk tall, stand tall, and be proud to achieve, succeed, and endure through all circumstances. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sutton.
All right, our next guest will be Jamie Renee Williams.
Hi, I'm Jamie Renee Williams. I'm actually a graduate of Stonewall Jackson High School, and so I would like to recommend the name Ibram X. Kendi. I was also the class president in that year, and that also happened to be the year that Time Magazine won High School of the Year. And so one of the things I wanted to say as a Black woman calling in is how important I think it is to really take into account the effect that the students who went to that school, because we all know that Dr. Kendi was a student who went to that school, and he graduated the year before I did. And I just want to say that I think it's important to take in consideration the living history and the living legacy of the people who are alive now, who have contributed to the growth and the success of that school 20 years ago this year, but also towards the future growth and the way that we're looking forward rather than looking back. So I just wanted to put that on the table and celebrate how far we've come. And I also just wanted to say from an emotional place that one of the things I really appreciate about the name Kendi is it also has another meaning. It means loved one. And I hope that for all of us looking forward, that's something that we can consider is like, what kind of world do we want to move forward into? And I think to bring love into that would be something really important. I yield my time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, looking for our next guest that is present. All right, we have Tiziana Bottomar. Your mic is now live.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Tiziana Bottino. I'm a resident of the Occoquan District. First of all, I'll be remiss if I didn't thank you for your landmark resolution on sustainability from 2 weeks ago. The students and the teacher will benefit from your decision for decades and beyond. And about the issue at hand, I'd like to address those who thankfully didn't seem to be on the call last time, and hopefully not this time, opposing the individuals renaming the schools by pointing out that there is a big difference between erasing history and glorifying villains. When Germany brought down monuments and statues of Hitler and Italy took down statues of Mussolini, they didn't suddenly forget about World War II, and neither were those events erased from history books. They simply refused to glorify these evil people, which represent a stain in the history of their country, and we are way overdue to do the same. Confederates were fighting to keep Black Americans enslaved. They were traitors to this nation, and quite frankly, they were losers. So why should we memorialize a Confederate general? As far as suggestions, I believe the opinion on current students and staff should bear the most weight. But there are many African American men and women who helped build this country and live in our region, such as Dr. Kendi, as it was suggested. Or if we do away with naming it after people, something like Unity, which was mentioned, I believe, in the last meeting, Unity High School seems appropriate and powerful. And so that's it for me. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you, Ms. Bottino.
Our next guest is Kathleen Gallagher. Your mic is now live.
Hi. Thank you. This is Kathleen Gallagher. I live in Sudley Subdivision, and I have children going to Stonewall Middle School and Stonewall Jackson High School starting this year. I am German. I grew up in the east side of Germany behind the Iron Curtain, and I do not believe that this is necessary. Taxpayer money can be spent in way more important things than to discuss a renaming of a school. Stonewall Jackson was a Confederate soldier. He was a leader. He fought for what he believed in. That ultimately he lost is one thing. But there was a reason why these schools were named Stonewall Jackson. It's a time in history of this great country. I wouldn't be in this country if it wouldn't be for the ancestors. And I personally do not agree with wasting taxpayer money on renaming. You could use the taxpayer money to create, for instance, remodeling these schools that look like prison so that more windows could be put in, like Colgan High School. Colgan High School is a great school. It's bright, sunlight comes in. whereas Stonewall Middle School and Stonewall Jackson High School is more like a prison. The same with Osborne Park High School. That could be an option to use your taxpayer money for. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Winston Campbell.
Good evening. My name is Winston Campbell. My daughter goes to Stonewall Jackson High School. Yes. This lag is killing me. Sorry. She goes to Stonewall Jackson High School as a rising senior. My wife and I came here as a military family. I retired from the Air Force after 25 years in November. We chose this area specifically for the school system, and that's a note I'd like to circle back to later in my comments. I looked at all the specialty programs as she was entering high school in the county, and decided that probably Patriot was the best for her with the AP Scholars Program. So at our own expense, we moved out of the Stonewall zone into the Patriot zone. But after I presented all the information to my daughter, being the person that she is, she looked at the facts and she made her own decision, and she decided to go with the IB program at Stonewall. She's happy with it. But I have to tell you, my personal reaction to when I see Confederate symbols and names, the hair on the back of my neck literally stands up because of what it means. The reason that you see so many schools is because the education system was targeted. You look at organizations like the Daughters of the Confederacy, they knew that they had lost the war, but the way to continue their way of life without literal slavery, but having mental slavery and economic slavery, is to control the school systems and indoctrinate children very young to condition them to get ready to know their place, okay, as part of a greater system enacted in the country. Slaves, knowing how to read was punishable by death. That is the importance of education, because education is the future, and it's freedom for people to rise up. And so to maintain the education system is the reason for those moves. The name Stonewall is a means of subjugation, and it's something that definitely needs to change for these kids in their future. I thank you for your time, and I hope you can see a way to make that change. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next guest is Marsha Conway. Your mic is now live.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can, thank you.
Members of the school board and the naming committee, and Mr. Weaver for being the commentator. I am a former retired high school teacher. I taught at Stonewall High School for 19 years. Go Raiders. And I have 3 grown children graduated from there. We are all very upset that they want to change the name of Stonewall Jackson. I've had many former students to contact me. I understand that the climate and the students have changed since I was a teacher there, and I am retired, so I'm not up for being fired for what I say, and I'm not going to say anything derogatory. I was upset I didn't get called on Monday night because I did register, but I was saying they were making Stonewall Jackson to be a criminal. That's not, and I taught history and government and sociology. Stonewall Jackson was a Union, in the Union before this. He's a West Point graduate. He was 17th in his class of 59. He fought the Mexican War. He helped put down John Brown's raid. He, like Lee, decided to go with his home state. So, and the 2 slaves he owned was because the slave's master died, and they asked Thomas Jackson, who was a professor at VMI, if he would buy them, and that's what happened. I would suggest to you there's been a lot of wonderful people that have been given names to name the school. I think you're going to have a problem to try to do personal names. I would say you do geography, maybe Unity High School, Prince William High School, and the paper got the name wrong. It's not Sulphur Springs, that's in Texas. It's Sudley Springs. And one thing I have to say to someone who's a descendant of Stonewall Jackson, he was born in Virginia. West Virginia had not been created then. and he was buried. Yeah, I think it may have been named, but there was a controversy in the Civil War, and I don't want to give a lesson, but thank you for your time and for your task that you have before you. So I'm so happy I got to speak tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Kenny Griffin II. Your mic is live on our end. You need to unmute yourself, and then you're free to speak.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to first say that I am an alumnus of Stonewall Jackson High School, 6-time athletic letterman, senior superlative, and Mr. Stonewall nominee. My practice jersey said poise on offense and pride on defense. I was a all-Met defensive back representing the school. My basketball jersey depicted Yosemite Sam, and we were the running Raiders. I say all that to say this. A simple name change to the school I have made, I have my pride, will not change my pride. It is a minuscule step in what I hope to be giant leaps and bounds towards progressive change. Moving forward, I hope the curriculum of Prince William County takes on the challenge of not rewriting American history, but correcting it and making it all inclusive. If the name of Stonewall Jackson High School is going to change and be the first step to progressive change, I would like to present my ancestor, Lucinda Lucy Griffin, the 13-year-old slave girl who was lent out, during the first Battle of Bull Run and held her ground and took lead to protect her task. That foundation led to my granddad's great work ethic. The legendary farmer, albeit he was sharecropping, his work ethic led to his baby boy, my father, to go off and become a MARSOC, Marine Corps Special Operations in Vietnam. A 2-time Purple Heart, Bronze, and Silver Star recipient. He then became a franchise owner, and then his son, myself, is now a small business owner. You can see we prevail against obstacles. Just think what we can do once equal. Much love and respect to the board and everyone listening.
Thank you very much.
Our next guest is Charlene Braxton.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We sure can. Please go ahead.
I was born and I grew up in Manassas at a time when there was no diversity. I'm a proud graduate of Jenny Dean High. There was no choice of schools for me, only one school for people of color. I went from the first grade to high school graduation at Jenny Dean. We had no football field to play games on, no basketball court or track field, but we had outstanding athletes. We used third-hand books, not second, but third-hand books. We had a lot of students that excelled. We had no band uniforms, but we participated in every town Christmas parade with pride. We were proud of our school, Jenny Dean, because of the name that it stood for, an ex-slave with no education that could not read or write, but who had provided a facility for children to be able to be educated. Today, Manassas is very diverse, a coat of many colors, and this is its future. It's not going to change. There will be diversity, not like in the past in the 50s and 60s. Change is here and a change is needed. That time has come. This evening, I would like to submit the names of Celestine and Carol Braxton for the renaming of the 2 schools that are now called Stonewall Jackson. These schools are educating the future of our tomorrow. In the beginning of their life, America whispered to Celestine and Carol, "You cannot withstand the storm." But they whispered back, "I am the storm." And they learned to dance in the rain, not waiting for the storm to be over. Through their lifetime, they have mentored, supported, educated, and sacrificed for so many men and women that are successful today. Celestine Braxton has over 35 years of educating youth and advocating for human rights.
If you could summarize, please.
Just one more. Carol Braxton, a true American hero who was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal for sacrifice and service to his country. I am
Thank you so very much.
proud of their legacy.
Thank you so much.
Our next guest will be Karen Kura.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Karen Griffin Kura of Prince William County, a descendant of Lucinda Griffin. My recommendation is for Lucinda Griffin. What sets Lucinda Griffin apart from every other nominee is that in 1848, she was born a slave to parents that were enslaved. In 1861, she was enslaved by Alexander Compton and leased at the age of 14 to Judith Henry at the Henry House. She was present at one of the bloodiest battles during the Civil War in American history, where she was wounded trying to save the life of her mistress. 9 years later, at the age of 23, it is documented that Lucinda Griffin was in the home of Dr. Cyrus Marsteller, which Marsteller Middle School is named. There, she was his laundress and cook, still a slave. In 1883, 12 years later, and the mother of three, Lucinda Griffin died at the tender age of 35, a slave. She was never afforded the opportunity to feel what it was like to be free from oppression. As an African-American slave in Prince William County, through blood, sweat, and I'm sure many tears, Lucinda Griffin paved the way for those that grew up in the Jim Crow era. Lucinda suffered tremendous hardship under white supremacy for minorities today to have opportunities in the field of education, government, law enforcement, and military services. Many have stood on the shoulders of heroic people and freedom fighters of forgotten, like my ancestor Lucinda. I want everyone to remember that Lucinda was a forgotten hero, while Stonewall Jackson was a remembered traitor. The petition to Renee, one of Stonewall Jackson School, to Lucinda Griffin have received over 1,000 signatures. Her story should be in this country's history books. Linda Griffin Middle School, the home of the freedom fighters. Thank you for your consideration in renaming a school in Prince William County in her honor. Good night.
Thank you so much.
Our next guest is Laurie Stern. Your mic is now live.
Good evening. I'm Laurie Stern, and I live in Manassas. I am a teacher at Stonewall Jackson High School, and I am again speaking on behalf of my colleagues. I'm speaking a second time on this subject because all the inspirational suggestions led to calls for another round of voting. The speakers on Monday night did suggest wonderful, deserving names. So this new vote considered all the names suggested during that hearing. This evening, 148 staff members would like to offer two categories of names: names after people and names not after people. For brevity, I'll not offer justification because I did that last time. For the person to honor, the staff continues to overwhelmingly support the name Arthur Reed High School. As for the suggestion for names not after a person, the staff is now tied for top two. They are Cannon Branch High School and Unity High School. Speaking as an individual, I would like to make a friendly amendment. If we consider a double name, maybe the word United would sound better than Unity. For example, Reed United High School. Finally, I want to again emphasize that the name should come from our community. We are already a living, breathing entity filled with an established culture, and our school name should come from us and reflect who we are and what our community wants. I sincerely thank you all for all the time you put into this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next guest is Samuel Chisholm. Your mic is muted on your end as soon as you're ready to speak.
Oh, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Oh, awesome. Because I was on Tuesday and I didn't get a chance. So, hey, how you doing? First of all, I'd like to thank the board for doing this. I live here in Gainesville, very active in the community, retired from the military after 32 years. And I'm going to come from the point of the military. I will tell you that Stonewall, in the military, we studied him. He was a master strategist, outstanding military leader. Great job. The U.S. Army studies him all the time. But I also point out someone else to you that the U.S. military studies. His name is Erwin Rommel, AKA the Desert Fox. He was part of the Nazi regime that was fighting during World War II. Now, what I would like to point out there is that when you go to Germany, you will see no statues or anything to Erwin Rommel. We study him. He was a great military strategist. We can learn a lot from him, but that's where we leave it at. We do not praise him because of what he did in Germany. Okay, and I would say the same thing here in America. Stonewall, excellent strategist, but he was a Confederate soldier and he was a traitor to America. Therefore, I don't care if he lived in what's now West Virginia. I don't care if he went to West Point and you want to make those, those type of points. He was a traitor. We should not, by any stretch of the imagination, ever sit around here and hold these Confederate individuals in high regard. They were traitors. Study what they did, learn from what they did, but then put them away. And I would like to thank the board for the opportunity to speak. And, I wish you guys the best on your decision. A couple of names I do have is Mary Elizabeth Bowser, L. Douglas Wilder, Arthur Reid, and then also Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you.
Next up is Sagama Anwar. Your mic is now live.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Hi. Good evening. My name is Swami Anwar. I'm speaking in support of renaming Stonewall Jackson High School to Arthur Reid High School. I believe that the renaming of Stonewall Jackson High School should be up to the current Stonewall students and staff. They are the ones who go through the building day in and day out, and they are the ones who have to wear the name on their chest. And they want Arthur Reid High School. Arthur Reid is the embodiment of Stonewall. Currently known as the godfather of Stonewall, Arthur Reid dedicated his entire life to giving back to the Stonewall community. It'd be an incredible disservice to his work to overlook this. Not only will this honor Mr. Reid in his life of service, as well as give the students of Stonewall a name that they're proud of, it'll serve as a statement to every teacher and faculty member in Prince William County that we recognize their hard work and are so thankful for their decision to dedicate their lives to us. I am also strongly opposed to naming the school after Kennedy. While it is symbolic to change the name from a Confederate leader to an outspoken anti-racist, it is also incredibly performative. Kennedy has frequently put Stonewall High School in a negative light, and granted, he had every right to do so due to how vastly different Stonewall was in his time, but he's proven time and time again that the school itself holds little to no meaning to him. To him, Stonewall Jackson is just the name on his diploma. I urge you to compare that to Arthur Reid, who spent decades of his life making Stonewall a better community. Frankly, these meetings are long overdue. The county spoke of changing the name of Stonewall for years and is only being pushed by the county now because it is a trend. If you truly care for the Stonewall community, you would work to provide the resources and the renovations they need to help our students succeed. You'd listen to the current students who will be the ones wearing this name, and the students want the name to be Arthur Reid. Rather than making a performative gesture by choosing Kennedy's name, I ask that you make a meaningful one and choose Mr. Reid's. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for your comments.
Our next guest is Shane Fordham. You just need to unmute your mic and then you are live.
Hi, hello.
Hello, please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Shane Fordham. I live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I am the son of Sean Fordham and Monique Braxton, who was a graduate of Stonewall Jackson High School. I am also the grandson of Carol and Celestine Braxton. I'm suggesting that the schools which were formerly known as Stonewall Jackson High School and Middle School in Prince William County be renamed in my grandparents' honor. I believe that if this were to happen, it would not only be an inspiration to the students, nor to the members of the county, but it will serve as an inspiration for citizens of America. The fact that a school that was once named after a Confederate soldier that fought for the right to treat Black people as property, which would now honor the legacy of two people who were true examples of Black excellence. Before my grandmother passed away in 2014, she fought for and achieved desegregation in several schools, including Stonewall Jackson. My grandfather was actually telling me the other day that he thought maybe the school should just have her name on it. After all, she made a difference at that particular school. But my grandfather was wrong. Manassas, Virginia's very own Carol Braxton is a living legend who was willing to fight and die for a country that hated him and people who looked like us. He not only paved the way for future generations of color to serve in the military, but also set an example for future generations of Black people to not allow the limitations and restrictions that others placed on them to determine what they can and cannot do. And he also helped prove what we as a people are capable of. My grandparents' names on the front of that school building will be a symbol of that message for the students, the residents of Prince William County, and for Americans everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Our next guest is Katherine Davis. Your mic is now live.
Thank you. Good evening again, and thank you for this opportunity. I am Katherine Davis, and I live in the Gainesville district. And I am also a proud graduate of Stonewall High School. But it's been expressed to not name the schools after a person, but instead the name to be generic in scope. I want to express why now is precisely the time to rename both schools after persons of notoriety, depth, and courage. As previously stated, everyone that enters those hallowed halls should feel pride and encouragement. School starts before the first bell. It starts on Rixlew Lane and Loman Drive. It starts when you enter each building. Our students are begging for knowledge and truth. They have compassion and fortitude. Don't belittle them by naming either school a word to be interpreted. Name the schools after two people that everyone can indeed be proud of. Again, I submit Lucinda Griffin and Celeste Braxton. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
All right, Alexandra Cornejo, your mic is now
Hi,
live.
can you hear me?
We can. Please go ahead.
All right, so my name is Alexandra Cornejo. I graduated from Stonewall in 2014, and I went to Stonewall Middle School as well. I'm requesting to rename the school after Ibram X. Kendi. When I first heard of the news about renaming Stonewall, I personally wanted to find a name that would recognize someone who is, one of us, someone who still encompasses what it means to be a Raider, and somebody who represents this era of change. I came across the petition to rename the school Ibram X. Kendi, which was created by a Prince William County resident, Mr. Langston Carter. And he stated himself that as a descendant of one of Jackson's slaves, I can't think of a better name for the school. We know that Dr. Kendi is one of America's leading historians and scholars on anti-racism, and he's a graduate from Stonewall. I have shared this petition with several alumni, and I have gotten so much positive feedback and support for this change. For me, the renaming is not just about us saying, look, we're not racist. It's about confessing to our own racism, particularly the kind that led us to keep the name of a Confederate general and enslaver for almost 60 years. It's about acknowledging that being anti-racist is a lifelong process. And Ibram Kendi has dedicated his career to challenging racist institutions and ideas, including his own, which he reflects on when he talks about his time as a Stonewall student. And so Stonewall students have been leaders in all levels of society. We challenge, we ask the hard questions, we demand change. And I think that Dr. Kendi really encompasses what this, what a Stonewall student is. The petition right now has over 30,000 signatures. So I think that Dr. Kendi should at least appear on the new petition. I think deliberately not including his name is silencing hundreds of voices of former and current students who have equal say in the renaming process. And additionally, I want to just, remind everyone that Mr. Reid, he deserves to be memorialized for being a very positive light at Stonewall, but his past also includes being a member of the Drug Enforcement Agency, which has been linked to mass incarceration of Black and Latinx folks. So we can memorialize people without placing the risk of their lives being, scrutinized. But really, it's Dr. Kendi, it's not about choosing a famous guy who made it. It's not performative. It's about what he stands for and what we can learn from others and ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great. Our next guest is Phillip Silver.
Yes, hello.
Hello, please go ahead.
Yes, I'm a graduate of Stonewall Jackson Middle and High School. I actually oppose the changes. I'm not quite sure why it's being done at this time with the climate of rioters and looters attacking buildings. I drove by today and saw the looted place where my bank and the Best Buy and the various stores up on the corner there. It seems to me like we're pandering to a mob with these name changes, and I'm very much opposed to it. I also believe that truth is truth, and you can't change truth. It's like trying to teach kids that 2 + 2 is 5. I think we should just leave the names as they are, and just prepare our kids for reality. I mean, history is part of reality, and I see no reason to change it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next guest is Melanie Flores.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Hello, my name is Melanie Pinella Flores, and I reside in Manassas, Virginia. I'd like to preface by stating that I am a Stonewall Jackson 2020 alumna who has been an active participant in my school through a variety of club sports and leadership positions. With this in mind, I feel as though I'm qualified to share my perspective on the renaming of my school and how it will reflect on the character of the Stonewall community. I truly believe that the power to change our school name should lie in the hands of the teachers and students of Stonewall Middle and High School. We are actively ignored when we are involved in other issues, but when the name change is proposed, outsiders want to cloud our voices. The primary reason why I believe that this name change is necessary is, of course, to rid ourselves of the constant presence of General Stonewall Jackson's actions and beliefs. We should not glorify the blatant racism that this name represents and seek to promote inclusivity by first minimizing microaggressions like this against people of color before being able to continue to fight to eradicate racism. Our school's diversity has been one of our proudest attributes, despite others thinking negatively upon it. I think our name should accurately reflect the unity that our current students desire within our community and with the rest of the world. I strongly believe that this will prove to be a rebranding opportunity for our school, as it has for many years been inaccurately nicknamed the ghetto school. We deserve to be thought with the same pride that our students who actually know the school think of ourselves. As much as we love our school, we understand that the history behind the name. We cannot let our school spirit hinder us from making it a better place for everyone. I would therefore like to propose the name Unity High School or Reid United High School, as it accurately represents what our school stands for. I, along with many other students and staff, agree that naming the school after Dr. Kennedy would be performative. His current following outside of Stonewall may prove to overshadow the voice of SJ students. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Our next guest is Beverly Williams. Your mic is now live.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I am Beverly Griffin Williams, a descendant of Lucinda Griffin. This Griffin family, which dates back to living in Prince William County to the early 1800s, is petitioning the school board to have Stonewall Jackson High School renamed Lucinda Griffin High School. Let us hear Lucinda Griffin's story. From the age of 14 until my death in 1883, I carried the wounds and scars of the Civil War in my body just as much as any soldier that was on that there battlefield in the First Battle of Manassas. On July the 21st, 1861, I was tending to my elderly Miss Judith Carter Henry. She was sick and bedridden on the first floor of the house, and her two children lived in the house as well. Suddenly, there were soldiers with guns running back and forth on the property, shooting each other. Gunfire hit the house. Miss Judith's daughter hid in the fireplace, and I hid under the bed where Miss Judith was. Miss Judith's foot was blown off, and then I was shot in the arm, just like any other soldiers were. You know, 1865 ended the Civil War, but I continued to carry the wounds both physically and mentally. I could never forget that day in July, because every day I had to keep my wounded arm close to my body. I determined in my mind to make the best of my situation. There were times I did not know what to do with my limited ability, but I raised my 4 children to work hard, to be independent, to be people of integrity, and to love one another. I would be humbled if you would rename the school in my honor. It was later ascertained that Lucinda Griffin was the first African-American woman wounded in this historic battle and the first known African-American to be wounded in the Civil War. Lucinda's determination is what all children should be taught today, no matter their circumstance. Thank you for your consideration in renaming the school in her honor. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Our next guest is Angela Hens. Your mic is now live.
Hello, my name is Angela Hens. I'm a Coles resident and a Stonewall graduate, class of 2002. My father worked for the military as a civilian, and because of his service, I spent most of my childhood in Germany. Hitler fought for what he believed in as well, but Germans don't need schools named after him to know their history. They also don't make excuses for it. The same could be said of my Department of Defense school teachers when they taught me about the Civil War. So when I moved here and saw that schools and streets were named after predominant leaders of the Confederacy, I was absolutely horrified. I'm mixed, and for the first time, I felt concerned for the safety of my mother as well as myself and my siblings. I was equally horrified the first time I saw the school's mascot. I chose to go to Stonewall for the IB program, but I never felt pride in my school. I never said the school's full name. I even lettered, and I never bought a jacket. I never displayed my high school diploma. The school was named during a time in America when schools were being forced to desegregate. There doesn't need to be a public record to know what the intent of the name choice was to convey. I would like to state my support in renaming the school after Ibram X. Kendi. Schools have been named after living people in the past, so this should not be an issue. Kendi is not only a graduate of Stonewall, but is also the founding director of the Anti-Racist Research and Policy Center at American University. In the words of Angela Davis, in a racist society, it is not enough to be non-racist, we must be anti-racist. Kendi has worked to lead America into an anti-racist society. His name is supported by not only Jackson's descendant, but a descendant of one of his slaves. Just like in the 1960s, let's make a statement that at the very least, our little corner of Virginia is committed to be anti-racist. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Robert Swigert. Your mic is muted on your side. There you go.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
We can, thank you.
All right, sir. The 13th high school, Gainesville High School, as it's slated to be named, and Dr. Lateef, I know you were on the committee for that one as well, is named after Gainesville. But what is Gainesville named after? Gainesville is named after Thomas Browner Gaines. He lived from 1814 to 1856, and he's responsible for bringing the railroad through the Manassas Gap into Gainesville, which is what we call Gainesville now. And the reason that it's called Gainesville is because he was the wealthy landowner that donated his, well, it was kind of like he didn't donate it, it got taken from him, but for the purpose of the railroad to go in. So he thought that this area ought to be named Gainesville.
Sir, do you have a suggestion for the...
I do, and I have a full minute and 7 seconds to speak.
If you have a suggestion, it would be nice to make that now.
Lucinda Griffin is what we ought to name the school. I'm a graduate of Stonewall Jackson, and I've never thought that Stonewall Jackson was a name that that needed to be memorialized. George G. Tyler was born after 1869, but his mother was Sally Chin, and the Chins had slaves, and they're in the Chin family slave cemetery on the Manassas battlefield. So, I mean, we name schools, we never really think too much about it. I think Lucinda Griffin is a name that you can that will stand the test of time forever, and that's what the name ought to be for the high school.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Our next guest is Langston Carter. Your mic is now live.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
All right, my name is Langston Carter, and I'm a former Prince William County school student. I am also a member of the Prince William County Historical Commission. However, I am speaking tonight as a private resident. I've been advocating for this change for 5 years. For me, this isn't an issue that started 3 weeks ago. It's part of my life as a descendant of one of Jackson's slaves. The students who are currently speaking up will be graduating in 1 to 4 years. Descendants of Jackson and his slaves can't escape the name that easily. While it is important that we consider students in this decision, it's also important that we realize the current students and parents are not the entirety of the Stonewall Jackson community. It impacts all of Prince William County. A few quick notes that I want to address to critiques of this petition are that some have claimed that Kendi started the petition. He didn't. I did, and I don't know him personally. This name choice was not a personal matter for me. It's about honoring an alumnus who has made great strides in the field of anti-racism. Dr. Kendi is aware of the petition, and he says he's honored by it. The petition is supported by 2 of Jackson's great-grandsons and several descendants of Jackson's slaves, a lot of whom are educators, and one of them whom worked in Prince William County schools for several years. Dr. Martin Luther King once said, "I have a dream that one day the red hills of Georgia, on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of slaves and former slave masters will be able to sit together at the table of brotherhood." This may not be Georgia, but Virginia was the capital of the Confederacy. And that's exactly what's happening here. I'm speaking united with descendants of Jackson and other descendants of Jackson's slaves. And together at the table of brotherhood, we are asking you to honor Dr. Kendi. Thank you.
Very much.
Great. Our next guest is Nicole King Campbell.
Hi, can you hear me?
Go ahead, please.
Hi, this is Nicole King Campbell. I'm the Stonewall Jackson PTSO president. I did speak before. Since I've spoken, I've talked to some more of the students and the teachers and members of the community. One thing that we do have to remember is that Stonewall Jackson High School is currently in existence. It's different from naming a school that's yet to be built. We should really consider what the teachers, the students, and the parents who are currently at the school and who will have students coming afterwards think, especially with the type of students we have at Stonewall. These students are advocates, they are game changers, they are brilliant, they are been very flexible when given some of the facilities we have at the school. In fact, one student just recently started a petition to help fund some of the needs we've had at the school. We did start an Arthur Reid Scholarship 2 years ago. So we did know that we have to recognize him. But I am conflicted in a bit because the kids do want Arthur Reid, but I have suggested Innovation High School or Innovation Park. So I just mentioned 4 names. But I really hope that the board looks at, there's a lot of outside sources trying to give names, and we should probably do something to recognize that. Maybe Marcella should be named after Miss Lucinda. But for Stonewall, we really have to remember there are currently students, teachers, staff, and parents at the school, and I hope their opinion is considered when you have a nation of 30,000 signatures trying to influence what Stonewall Jackson School should be for the high school. Thank you.
Our next guest is Chelsea Crips. Your mic is now live.
Yes, hello, thank you. My name is Chelsea Crips. I have been a teacher at Stonewall Middle School for several years, and I'm transferring to the high school this fall. So I have a vested interest in both communities. I applaud the decision to change the name of these schools. I also respect the desire expressed by some to choose a name for the school that is not a person. Human beings are complex creatures who rarely live up to our own ideals, let alone those of future generations. My purpose in speaking today is to remind the board to keep in mind our student population. Almost 70% of the students at Stonewall Middle are Latino, and many speak Spanish at home. I like the idea of naming schools for concepts and values such as liberty or united, and I would like to suggest the name Esperanza Middle School. Esperanza means hope or expectation in Spanish. The school motto at Stonewall Middle School is high expectations are the foundation of our success. So this name seems in fitting with the values of the school. It's an uplifting name, it has a beautiful sound and a joyful message, and it honors the Hispanic heritage of a large number of our students. A possible adaptation of the name would be Esperanza Alta, which means high expectations, like those described in the school motto. A school name like this would be a reminder to students to work to live up to their potential and a reminder to all of us to have hope as we adjust to the new circumstances and period of recovery following the uncertainty caused by the coronavirus, which has had an especially devastating impact on the community surrounding these schools. Thank you for your time and consideration, and the best of luck to you as a board in selecting these names, as well as in planning for the unusual upcoming school year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our next speaker is Zara Wakilizada.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Zara Wakilzada and I graduated from Stonewall Jackson High School in 2019. As the current decision maker, the board is responsible to think critically and consider upcoming students before renaming our school. The board should be able to answer the question of why a specific name was chosen without the name being disrespectful to any student and their intersectional identity. It's pivotal to consider the diverse student body while naming a school and acknowledge that despite how today's society sees individuals and their legacy will be questioned given their life decisions and choices. For example, if the school is named after a person who had an extensive military background, what message that will give to students who lived in a war zone or carry generational trauma from war? Therefore, I strongly believe that a school should be not named after people. I'm speaking in favor of naming this high school Unity. Unity does not only reflect our values as students, but it also defines our student body. We are individuals who came from different backgrounds and different places across the globe with different struggles and experiences to form a community. We listen, learn, and educate each other. We stay united given our identities and celebrate our differences. Let the class of 2024 enter Unity High School where the name of their school reflects the values of their student body. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Our next guest is Richard Jesse. All right. Your mic is now live.
Mr. Jesse, are you there?
Yes, okay. I'm Richard Jesse. I live in the Occoquan district. I was extremely impressed with the variety of recommendations from my fellow citizens at the last meeting. More importantly, I was overwhelmed by learning about the background of many of those nominated. It became apparent that what is worthy of being recorded and taught in Virginia is very slanted and deficient in the contribution of Blacks, American Indians, and Hispanics. I request that each voting board member remember these relevant policies when making their vote. If selecting a person, you may choose someone who has established local, state, or national service contribution. However, the policy also states that preference shall be given to those who have made significant contribution to education, especially in Prince William County. Carol Braxton meets the historical consideration requirement as one of the first Blacks to become a Marine at a segregated boot camp and serve in the Marine Corps. Celestine Braxton also met this historical consideration requirement as one of the teachers hired to integrate Prince William County. She taught for over 30 years, and their daughter integrated at Baldwin Elementary, and Mrs. Braxton taught at Stonewall Middle. Celestine also made significant contribution to the Prince William community. I also request that the vote on Monday be contingent on the requirement that the Historical Commission verify the historical accuracy of the claim of any name selection. If there is any critical information of the harmful matter, it should be result in a new vote. If the name is chosen is disqualified, I believe there have been enough public input to select one of the other names under consideration. Advise the public of the reason the approved name was rescinded and why the new name was considered and was chosen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jesse.
Our next guest is Donnell Haight. Your mic is now live.
Before I get started, I would like to commend the board for giving me the opportunity to voice the concerns and suggestions. Also, I applaud all of the speakers from Monday and today for their input, and I enjoyed listening to their speeches. It is very important to always respect each other's opinions, insights, because that is the only way we can grow and move forward in the community. It is time to stop lying to ourselves and, most importantly, to our children. They deserve to know the truth. History is spelled History. His story. Now it is time to hear her story. The story of Lucinda Griffin, my great-great-grandmother, who is firmly recorded and etched in history books of the Civil War. Lucinda Griffin was the first, I repeat, the first African-American to be wounded in the Civil War, the first battle of Manassas Bull Run. The story of her bravery and persistence is the kind of stories that movies are made of. Oprah, I sure hope you're listening. Our children and people all over the world deserve to know all the stories, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Have you heard that somewhere before? The unabridged truth, which has been covered up, hidden, untold by ignorance or intentionally erased. Let me be perfectly clear. Stonewall Jackson was a traitor to the United States flag, period. He fought to keep people enslaved, thereby enabling plantation owners to continue raping and molesting enslaved children for recreational purposes. Sexual predators, plain and simple. I am sure none of you will want this for any of your children. Many places in Manassas are named after slave owners and rapists. Marcellus School, Ben Lomond Park and Drive, Liberia Avenue, Lucasville Road, Clover Hill, and Sudley, which is named after a plantation community, and the list goes on and on. This is totally disgusting. Would you name a school after Adolf Hitler or Osama bin Laden? We can no longer sit idle. It is time for a positive change. We can start now by naming one of those schools after my great-great-grandmother, Lucinda Griffin. Our children need positive role models, true heroes and sheroes, if you will. We must have emblems and memorials of hope and courage. Lucinda Griffin, without question, is a true American hero. She has taken a bullet in her right arm for her country at age 14.
Summarize, please.
I'm wrapping up. At age 14, a little girl. It is time that our children learn the untold stories and forgotten stories of our local heroes. I urge the board to choose. Thank you very much, and thank you for your time.
The next guest, I just have first name Michelle. We have one Michelle present. Give them opportunity in case that's them.
Michelle?
Guessing it's not.
Michelle Winslow.
All right, we'll move on. Let's try Ridik Thakur.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can, thank you. Please go ahead.
Hello, my name is Ridik Thakur, and I live in Victory Lakes, and I'm a rising senior at SJHS with the hopes that I will graduate from Arthur Reid High School. At our school, we are strong-minded and focused, so the name Stonewall Jackson did little to deter us from our goals. However, we recognize that change is happening, but change should occur appropriately with the name Arthur Reid High School. Let me tell you why. Last summer before school started, we held our annual One of Us new student orientation. And one of the jobs that needs to be completed was the mulching of the new garden, commemorating our beloved Mr. Reid. This job was undertaken by students, other being myself. And the reason students contributed to this garden is because we feel Arthur Reid represents the values that our community and our school is proud of. And when we give new students the One of Us in orientation, we invite them to become part of the amazing community in our school. Now, since the community feels he represents the values, it is only right that the name Arthur Reid is adorned onto the bricks of our school. For a name change is only a small basis for proper change. If the outside community truly cared about the betterment of our school that is majority economically disadvantaged, then better facilities and resources would be incorporated into the changing of our school, because this is what would actually benefit the community and improve prospects for our students. To everyone listening, if you want to take action in improving our school, please donate to the GoFundMe campaign, fundraising for the renamed SJHS. I repeat, fundraising to the renamed SJHS. This will help create actual meaningful change. This name change reminds me of a situation in the movie Thor Ragnarok, where Thor must let his home of Asgard burn because he realizes that Asgard was not a place, it was a people. Just like this, Stonewall is not a place or a name, but a community of amazing students, teachers, and staff. And name change will only make our community stronger. Next June, when I and my fellow students graduate, I want to be proud in saying that I graduated from Arthur Reid High School, a name and community that holds values that we are proud to represent, and a school that has facility improvements in store to create a better future for the new students coming through. Thank you, and please donate to our cause.
Thank you very much.
Our next guest is Kenny Bodie. Your mic is now live.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Beavers, and members of the board. This is Kenny Bodie. I am the Occoquan District Supervisor, and I wanted to thank you for making this a when we are renaming these schools and not an if. For far too long, we've been commemorating Confederate generals and people who were traitors to the Union. We have a lot of shared constituents, and you know, although I do not represent either districts that these schools are in, we have constituents that either attend these schools or are part of these schools' families. This should be a county-wide conversation, and as a descendant of slaves that were brought to this area over 300 years ago, I feel that I do have some standing to speak about this issue. One of the things I wanted to demystify at first was the idea that this is somehow going to hurt the funding that school will receive to better the school itself. Obviously, renaming is a one-time cost as opposed to the ongoing funding that would be required to improve the school in many different ways. And there's long-term benefits. We've had parents and teachers speak before about how the name of the school has turned off potential investors, whether it be private investors or members of PTO communities. And in the end, we will have private entities such as businesses, which will be forward-looking and will want to invest in the school and in the area around the county, as we will be a progressive community and not a regressive one. So in terms of ideas, non-names have already been pushed because obviously naming things after living people or dead people has some challenges to it. So liberation is a really good name because we go from commemorating someone who fought to keep people in chains to the idea of liberating them. Unity has been talked about in the past, as well as veritas, which means truth in Latin. And there's also innovation and justice. In terms of names of actual people, we have Ibram X. Kendi, Arthur Reid, Lucinda Griffin, Carolyn Celestine Braxton, Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor, and finally Carlos Flores Lavoy, who was the very first Latino judge named in Prince William County very recently. We have a rich history here in Prince William County, and it's time that we showed our diversity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Bodie.
Our next guest is Ariana Carter. Your mic is now live.
Hi. Hello, my name is Ariana. I'm going to be speaking on the renaming of Stonewall Jackson High School. I think that it should be named Arthur Reid High School because Arthur Reid was drafted to be in the Vietnam War. He joined the DEA. He saw people he knew dying to drugs. He even trained others to not end an effort to produce racism. Agents. So with that being said, he embodies what Stonewall strives to be, which is welcoming regardless of where you come from or what the world saw you as. He took the time out of his day to get to know each and every student and to make them feel welcome. That's it.
Very good. Thank you for your comment.
Our next guest is Marsha Conway. Your mic is now live.
Oh, I'm sorry. I spoke earlier. Do you want me to speak again?
You probably do.
Nope.
I'll be glad to. I didn't get to speak Monday night.
No, thank you. We're only going one at a time tonight, so thank you.
Okay, well, I was called on again, but
very good.
I think all of these people that have, all the names, which I'm very familiar with a lot of them because I remember them as maybe former students, but I think you'd be wise to either go by unity or a geographical place, then you don't have to worry. And I like the idea of checking with the historic background. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much, Ms. Conway. We appreciate your service to the school division too.
All right, our next guest is Carl Brower.
Good evening. My name is Carl Brower. I'm a Prince William County resident. My address is on file. I'm speaking on the renaming of SJMS. I want to join the many who are expressing their support for the naming or renaming of SJMS in honor of the Braxtons. With this couple, you have an exemplary model of self-sacrificing service that has made our county and indeed our nation better. Overcoming the obstacles of systemic racism, they equipped themselves to meet the challenges of their time. But not only did they break barriers for themselves, they were instrumental in making a way for others. In the Braxtons, you have a model for our diverse student bodies, from 7th graders to high school seniors, for the type of citizens we want them to be. This 244-year-old experiment of democratic government requires the type of civic engagement modeled by the Braxtons. It is citizens like them who demanded equal protection under the law, even at both physical and personal sacrifice, that has moved this nation forward to greater equality and inclusiveness. The very effort we're talking about this evening, the renaming of these schools, are part of the ongoing perfecting of our union, represented in the lives and the work of Celestine and Carl Braxton. That is why renaming the schools in their honor is the most appropriate choice. Finally, not changing the name should not be an option. The changes will always cost money. Money will always be a concern. But we can and should rename the schools, provide necessary funding to overcome the challenges of distance learning, and the necessary improvements to the educational infrastructure that the school needs to continue to perform at a high level. Both of these things should be done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brower.
All right, for our next guest, all I have is a first name, Monica. I have somebody in the lobby who matches that first name. Did you sign up to speak, Monica?
I'm here. Okay,
All right.
I'm Monica, and I'm a student in Prince William County. I am advocating for Stonewall Jackson High School to be renamed after Joyce Russell Terrell. 50 years ago, Joyce Russell Terrell became the first African-American student to attend Garfield High School. She desegregated the school at only 13, showing immense courage and setting an important example. Terrell helped the county take a huge step forward in its fight against racism. And not only did she desegregate at Prince William County High School, but her brother and sister also contributed to the desegregation of county middle and elementary schools, adding importance to her name. Terrell had the courage as a young girl to walk through the doors of a school every single day, knowing that many of her peers did not want her there, demonstrating how much of an impact just one person can have. Renaming this high school Joyce Russell Terrell is therefore in line with Prince William County's efforts to be anti-racist. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, our next guest is Ben Kim. Your mic is muted on your end, Ben Kim, and then your mic is live.
Mr. Kim, are you there?
Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I want to begin by addressing the primary concern of renaming Stonewall Jackson High School Arthur Reid High School. The primary concern revolves around Mr. Reid's employment with the Army and the DEA. I understand the concern. I had the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Reid's daughter this morning. The story I heard convinced me that our school must be named after this man. Mr. Reid was from Philadelphia, born and raised, the youngest of 2 siblings. After attending Penn State University, he was drafted to serve in the Vietnam War. He also served 2 to 3 years in Germany. When he returned to Philly, Mr. Reid decided to join the Drug Enforcement Agency. He chose to do so because as a kid, he saw many of his childhood friends who died from drugs. He didn't want that to ever happen to anyone again, so he joined to save people's lives in his hometown. In the DEA, Mr. Reid's main job was to train agents and mentor younger law enforcement officers. He chose to focus on training officers because he knew back then how important the training of officers was, so that only the best would be in the field. After 30 years of service, Mr. Reid decided to come to Stonewall. He had enjoyed mentoring the younger officers, and he was excited to help high school students. Some people have said that his time in the DEA makes his name bad. I think it's the reason why our school must be named after him. Mr. Reid did not have a choice to join the military. He was drafted. He served our country. He joined the DEA because he wanted to save as many lives as he could. Today, we are having this conversation because of bad officers. Mr. Reid trained officers because he knew that bad officers would lead to chaos. In this age of police brutality, we do not need bad officers. We need symbols of good officers. Mr. Reid was a good security officer who cared about students. Stonewall Jackson High School must be named after Arthur Reid because he is beloved by Stonewall students and staff. He served our country and he serves as an example of a role model officer to students. It would be wise to name it Arthur Reid High School. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next guest is Lubna Azmi.
Hi, I'm an alumna of Stonewall Jackson High School. I live in the Brentsville district, and I just graduated last year. In looking to name the new high school, we have to look beyond our personal and societal context. The immortalization that goes with putting a name on a structure is something that our generation is beginning to unravel because not all people were meant to be eternized in this way. I think the best way to unify our community is under a name that weighs the least financial cost to our already underfunded school and that simultaneously stands in alliance with today's movement. I'm in support of repurposing Stonewall Middle School to represent the Stonewall riots, and I am in support of Unity High School, or if not Unity, then a name that goes beyond personal context and is representative of today's movement for justice. When we decide to put the name of a human, an imperfect being, on a structure, it solidifies all aspects of their life, therefore putting those aspects under inspection, the good and the not so great. And unfortunately, those personal contexts, those personal reasons and personal experiences for deciding the name inevitably fade away, and what is left are the facts. Whatever name we decide to put up on that school goes beyond the community today, and it goes beyond the people we know. I feel that isn't fair to the people that are being proposed to be memorialized, nor is it fair to the future generations. We have to consider that the generations after us won't think the way that we do about certain people or about certain societal standards. We need to thoroughly analyze options that are based off people's names to make sure they relay the messages for justice that we want them to convey. Across the country, we're seeing collective movements. We're seeing Black Lives Matter, Black Power. The importance of the movement is outweighing the individuals involved. Unity is a descriptor of this moment and of how our school community operates. A name that highlights the importance of this moment does the best job of bringing us together now and in bringing our community together in the long future ahead. Also, I've seen a lot of people defend Stonewall Jackson. I'd like to say from my personal experience in Prince William County schools, I was taught that Stonewall Jackson was a good and loyal man. I've also heard people speak as slavery as an obsolete anti-American aspect that ended after the Civil War, when the truth is that slavery was repurposed into today's prison industrial complex. These highlight the issues in our curricula. We need anti-racist, anti-imperialist, and abolitionist frameworks to how we teach our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, our last guest for this evening is Emmett Fletcher. Your mic is now live.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can, thanks. Please go.
All right, at last. Thank you so much, Dr. Lateef, School Board Committee, and Mr. Beavers. We had this discussion at a school board meeting 4 years ago, and the Stonewall issue came up. And I remember Dr. Waltz said he would definitely look into that. And I would like to commend him for doing that, but also Dr. Lateef. They kept their word. It's been 4 years, and here we are now, and I thank God that we're making progress. I would like to recommend Celestine and Carol Braxton. The reason I said that, these people have this couple lived in Prince William County for over 155 years. Mr. Braxton is going on around 96. I believe he's 96 years old now. He has made history in World War II, the Korean conflict, and different battles in World War II. Also, he was an instructor. He's been a civil rights activist back in the 60s. He knew some of the civil rights activists in the state of Virginia, as well as nationally. Mrs. Braxton, she was in the second wave of the integration. These people are pioneers. These are people that the minority community, especially African Americans and Latino children, look up to. 33 years in the education system in 3 different schools. I think they deserve it. We have a Colgan High School. We have a Hilton High School. We need an African American high school. And I believe it will happen. I trust this committee. They have been working very hard, and I would like to thank them for what they're doing. But please consider that Stonewall Jackson is the majority of the minority community. And not only should we change the name, but we should be there to support them as a community through this transition as well as support the school board. I thank you for your time and your service.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fletcher. All right, well, that concludes our list of speakers for tonight that have registered. So thank you all very much. It was a very informative list of speakers. So we thank you all for your participation. Just as a little background, the school board will be meeting on Monday, June 29th at 6 p.m. There are opportunities for you to register to speak at that time. There also is an opportunity for you to submit a written statement if you'd like to do that as well. So please go to the website, look at the web story for the renamings, and you can find those links there. So thank you all very much for all your participation. And now we'll go through the naming committees to ask for closing comments. We'll start with Dr. Lateef. Dr. Lateef, would you like to make any closing comments for us tonight?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Beavers. Thank you for hosting this, and Mr. Stevens, our IT folks, for getting this on. I'd like to comment, Laurie Williams, school board member from Woodbridge, mentioned that the other day, how nicely this program went on Monday night, and even this evening. We got to hear from some great speeches, hear from passionate advocates. The idea that this kind of Zoom or GoToWebinar type of meeting allowed for a lot more folks who can speak from the comfort of their home while waiting through the long list, rather than bringing folks out to the Kelly building, I think is great. So one of the nice things that has worked out with this is that I think we have gotten a lot of folks to be engaged. I would continue to remind folks to email the school board. We've had enormous levels of feedback from the community, engagement from our students and our faculty. I can't thank all of them enough, and I know they're going to continue to be diligent in their efforts over the weekend, and we'll have another meeting. The passionate advocates on all the names. I, would echo the comments of my colleagues on this committee from the other night that I have learned so much. I'm not native to Prince William County, moved here in 2002, but I believe that I have learned quite a bit just in this. And I think if I'm to leave this, we're going to eventually name the school. There's going to be happy folks and unhappy folks with the names chosen. But I would say that if I take anything away from this, we have to find other ways to honor our history here in this county. Whether that means including that it absolutely does mean including it in our curriculum. You can certainly have ceremonial resolutions, but more importantly, teaching the history. Teaching the history is what I have learned from our community over the course of the time I've lived in this community, and then now in these last few meetings, it is crystal clear to us and from the Stonewall Jackson students and staff from last summer and the boundary hearings, and continued commitment to their school, the alumni who've called in, who've written in. I thank you all. But we have a lot of work to do in front of us. It is not just about naming a school. It is about recognizing and honoring our entire community, our entire history, our efforts. I am absolutely moved by the stories of Lucinda Griffin, Celestine and Carol Braxton, Mary Bowser, Joyce Russell Terrell, who I just learned about this evening for the first time. And so we have, I think, an exciting next couple of days. I think regardless of what we end up with, I think it's going to be certainly, in my personal belief, an improvement over where we are with these names currently. And I think we're going to have, but we have to look as a school board. I would encourage my members, our members and our board to think about other ways where we can honor, reflect, and restate retell the stories of our great community and our great people. Thank you so much.
Very nice. Thank you, Dr. Lateef. We'll go to Ms. Jackson from the Brentsville Magisterial District.
Hi, I just want to also thank the naming committee, Mr. Beavers, the translator. It has been a wonderful process. We've been given so many choices. It's going to be difficult the next couple of days, but I'm excited to collaborate further with everybody and read more emails. Thank you to everybody who spoke today. Thank you for the emails that are coming through. I want to echo what Dr. Lateef said about we name the school, but we have many more steps we have to go to honor the history. And we have a beautiful history in Prince William County, and I'm just excited for the next steps after we name the school. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Ms. Wall from the Gainesville District, closing comments.
Thank you, Mr. Beavers. Thank you, everybody who spoke tonight. It was really wonderful to hear from you. Many of you, I have been reading your emails and your notes to the board. That's been fantastic. I just want to say thanks again. Great names, great reasons for the great names. We have a rich and diverse history in Prince William County that has become really apparent to me, and I do hope that we find ways to teach that history to our students, the rich tapestry of history that we have. I want to say that please know if obviously we aren't going to be able to pick every name for the school. I wish in a way we could, but please know that if we don't choose your suggestion, it doesn't mean that we didn't love your name. They're just all fantastic. They're really great. We do need to find ways to honor our local heroes, especially those that have been forgotten. And one final thing that I wish to say is to those family members to those individuals who spoke about family members personally, or people in your heritage, you do your loved ones a great honor by just by bringing their names forward and in this way in seeking to honor them. So I really commend that. I think that's just tremendous. So thanks so much for everybody, your feedback and everything else, and pray for us. We have a tough decision to make.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Wall. And from the Coles Magisterial District, Ms. Zargapur.
Thank you, Mr. Beavers. And thank you for all of the efforts that you've done to make sure that people have a chance to speak. And Mr. Stevens for managing all the things that are online. Going last makes this a little bit easier tonight. I echo everything that's been said by my colleagues on the board. I have 3 children, 3 daughters, and the conversations in our house, they don't go to Stonewall. They don't really have a stake in it, but their opinion matters in that one of my children particularly will say, please don't do only performative things. And so when people talk about how we want to make sure everybody's getting a quality education and that everybody is, thank you, and that everybody is proud of their school, but then we want to dig deeper and make sure that our curriculum really includes all the aspects of our history. Those are things that I know we on the board have been talking about. So whenever someone brings it up, I live the experience in my own house, and I know the board members, we've discussed these things. Changing the name is a step, and thank goodness we have so many great different names to choose from. You're making our jobs really hard on that accord. So we will do our best and understand that not naming a school your favorite doesn't. I think there's so many things we're going to need to do as a community, as a Prince William community, not just in the schools, but also in our county. So thank you all for your hard work here on the committee. Thank you for everyone who spoke and everyone who's behind the scenes who are handling the emails and getting speakers up and doing the technical things. I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Zargapur, and thank you, naming committees. You all do have quite a difficult task ahead of you, so we will all keep you in our thoughts for the next couple of days. The school board will meet on Monday at 6 p.m., and we hope to see you all there. I know the school board is reading all your emails that you're sending them, so thank you for staying in touch with them and giving them a lot of opportunity to receive information. So with that, I think we'll call it a night, and thank you all very much for this very, very informative evening.